Well, Noah, welcome to the CEO Under 30 podcast. You're my first guest on this podcast. I appreciate you coming on today.
It's an honor to be here. Thank you
Yeah,
so much. The setup is awesome in here and excited to
yeah,
be on the pod.
awesome, man. Well, for those listening, Noah is the owner of the Taxman Agency. He opened up his own branch within Goosehead Agency and has just been a top producer for quite some time now, it sounds like. He's the number one individual producing agent throughout the whole company of 3,000 agents. Recently, within the last year, right, opened up his own agency within the company, the Taxman Agency, growing it to 10 reps now, you
Yeah, we're
said?
at 5 on and then 5 set to come on to training. So we'll be at 10 shortly.
That's awesome. So if you guys are in insurance or just in sales in general, this is the guy to learn from. This is the guy to listen to. 24 years old, um, just crushing it right now. So Noah, I want to just kind of get into you graduated from Denver University, correct?
Yep.
And the plan was to go to law school. And now you own an insurance agency and went an entirely different route that doesn't require a college degree, obviously. Um, Tell me about that.
Yeah, for sure. My father's an attorney, his biggest role model. Also, I was really interested in cryptocurrency,
Hmm.
and it felt like a space that was so unfair and just, not protecting the consumer, especially with all of these new get rich quick, whatever it may be, and it lacked a lot of regulation. So I wanted to go into crypto law and regulation. And as I was studying for the exam, it was one of the first times I wasn't working. Didn't have a business I was trying to run, whatever it may be. And I got the opportunity for an interview for Goosehead Insurance to be an
Hmm.
account executive. Took the job simply for experience, just interview experience. And after a quick interview of seeing what the space really offered and the opportunities of being in a residual sales industry, I was sold. And after that interview, I came back and kind of the rest is history.
Yeah. So thinking back on that, was college a good experience? Do you think college was worth it for you? Did you gain a lot from that, even though you're not using your degree currently?
Yeah, I think college was a great experience. Do I use what I learned in my individual classes or what each professor taught me on a daily basis? No. But the experience of being around that many people that close in age for 4 years straight was life changing. I
Yeah.
met some of my favorite people. I learned how to be more independent. I just think that actual life experience of those 4 years helped mold me into who I am today.
Yeah. That's awesome. And your first agent, you actually met at Denver University, correct?
That's right. Yeah, Grant Brady. He's
That's
he's my
awesome.
best friend. When I visited my senior year of high school to see where I wanted to go to school, I had visited someone from my hometown, and they were abroad. So they
Mm.
told me just to, hey, these are my good buddies. One of them happened to be Grant Brady, and Grant was a junior at the time. So he had shown me around. We had a good time together. I was sold on the school after that trip, and Grant and I had always remained friends. And to this day, now we work together, and he's my right hand man.
That's so cool, man. And you've told me this in the past, but Grant had a really good job. It sounds like he had the salary. He kind of had the quote unquote like American dream.
Yeah,
You go to college and you get this really good job. Talk to me about getting him to come work for your agency rather than the 9 to 5, the salary that you don't have to worry about anything.
for sure. Grant and I are very entrepreneurial and similar in that sense, where we had a couple ideas in the past of things we had tried to work on together. One was actually an art brokerage where we wanted to represent artists and help them sell their artwork and market, take all of the business tasks off of their plate. So we'd always had ideas to work together. But more than that, Grant is just an exceptional human being.
Mm.
Everything he has ever applied to, he has beat out the other candidates. And the sales role he was at before, he was in tech sales and crushing it. Had a six-figure salary, bonus, cushy time off, whatever it may be. A lot different than insurance right now. But I don't think he was that fulfilled. And
Mm.
he'd tell you that himself. when he saw me in insurance, posting reach out for a quote today, every day, hustling, meeting with realtors and lenders, and saw how passionate I was about it. I think he loved that.
Mm.
And the second I launched my franchise, it was always it was a matter of time, not if, Grant was going to come.
Mm.
But at the beginning, I didn't have much to offer him. I told Grant I'd give him a $35,000 base salary, that he would have to essentially make more in commission to do that. I wasn't able to offer him health insurance or no benefits. And when I proposed that to him, Grant's first question was, when can I start? And he was ready to go. And it's been unbelievable to work with him.
That's awesome. So it sounds like he just really believed in you and your passion. And I think people really underestimate that, how important it is to just really believe in the dream. Because if you don't believe in it, then nobody else is going to believe in it. You have to really start leading by example with that.
And with Grant, it's funny too because he is a lot of the things I'm not, and I'm a lot of the things that he's not.
Mm.
We even each other out quite a bit. I'm crazy. I have ideas. Grant, let's do this. This event's tomorrow. Let's call people. Let's get it done. Grant's very detail oriented, organized, and our processes complement each other so much in the way that he's able to reel me back in sometimes, and he's able to help, control the chaos of the ideas that we have.
Yeah. I think that's so cool. That's one of the first big business lessons I learned. So when I started my first company in 2021, me and my business partner were so similar. We were good friends too, but our capabilities didn't really contrast each other. And I think ultimately that ended up hurting the business. So now when I talk to other young entrepreneurs or other people starting a business, I always advise them and say, hey, find people that are different than you, that contrast your capabilities, because it's going to take you so much further you when you just have somebody that has different skill sets than you. Like you're the best at this one thing, this person is the best at this one thing, and you guys can work together to create that vision.
For sure. I have a fun example of it right now. Just yesterday, Grant and I want to go invest in this realtor's flip. This woman is incredible. She's a great track record. And when we're talking about the idea of doing it, I'm just like, hey, I like her a lot. She's great. Let's invest.
Yeah.
And Grant's like, all right, but what's the address? Let's see it. How long is this going to take? What's the plan? What someone with common sense would ask, the right questions. But to me, it's just the energy, it's the feeling. And I think there is so much importance to getting the right vibe and building the relationship, but you need to hammer out all the details as well. And that's why I love doing things with him, because I feel like we get both of those approaches and we mesh quite well.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So you just said a second ago that you're very entrepreneurial. Where did that come from? Has that been something that's always been within you, or?
For sure. I think I always like to draw outside the lines, and do things a certain way. I'm very inspired by whatever it is. I love seeing people do things, seeing people build things, and just being proud of owning it, if you will. And I think that to me has always stood out. And when you're running your own business, you're really just repping what you believe in. And that mindset has stuck with me. And I think attaching that mindset to a business is the easiest way, to define entrepreneurship.
Yeah. Yeah. So was the Taxman agency your first kind of experience with entrepreneurship? Did you do anything in college that kind of led to wanting to start a business, or is this your first entrepreneurial journey?
I'd always had a business, like from the lemonade stand to high school to college, there's always something. And I think the biggest one in college that stuck out to me was Snacks with Tax. That's the name, Taxman. I delivered on college campus, Cheetos, Doritos, condoms, tampons, anything a college kid could need was really like our motto. And we set up pickup locations in every freshman dorm. So I would stock kids with all of these snacks to pass out and distribute, and people would be able to pick them up. And then I was the only driver. The liability idea of college kids driving around for our business scared me, but it was awesome. And there was a buzz to it. The social media, seeing the fraternities and the sororities, want to get snacks with tax. It wasn't the money. It was just the idea of building something that I was so attracted to.
That's so cool. Yeah. That's something I never knew about you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's really cool. So you when you were doing all of that, how many people in college did you have kind of working on that vision with you?
About 5. So there's 5 college dorms that I was stocking with snacks, and then I was just posting on Instagram. We just re-upped on ramen. We just got this, whatever it may be. My grandma got me a Costco membership. She added me to her plan, and just went, bought the snacks in bulk, and brought them back and sold them on campus.
That's so cool. I love that. Um, so now I want to talk a little bit about insurance. You graduated from DU. You took an interview with Goosehead,
Yep.
and then you started working for Goosehead. And it seems like pretty quickly you moved up the ranks there and just really started separating yourself as a top producer for an individual agent. Um, I guess tell me about that journey.
Yeah, it was really it was random is the right word, because I didn't know what a deductible was before I started in insurance. I didn't have my own car insurance at college, and the only insurance really had was renter's insurance, which the apartment building was like, hey, this is $15 a month, whatever it is. Put no thought into it. So the space to me that caught me was I wasn't calling a list. I was building referral partners. That's how you and I met, because we're going after realtors and lenders and anyone who could refer us to our need. And the second I figured out it was just a network that I have to build, I hit the ground running. My first week, when we're in all of these trainings and you're supposed to be in the office, telling my manager, hey, I just booked a lunch. He's like, what do you mean you booked a lunch? I was like, yeah, this realtor's down to meet. I met him on Instagram. And that idea of just having to basically create friends of people who trusted me and wanted me to help execute their transaction and assist their client was amazing. And I took everything I could with it and I ran.
That's awesome. I think a lot of people underestimate what I like to call future business. I think when you're starting a business or you're in sales, people are so focused on how can I get money in the door right now? How can I go find that direct customer, get them to sign a contract with me or whatever it is, and sell a job now for quick money. But I think to build a sustainable business, you need to focus more on future business, which is what you're talking about with realtors and mortgage brokers and this whole referral network that you work with one partner that maybe sends you 10 policies a year, 20 policies a year, depending on the partner. So I think it's really cool that you focus on that early on. Is that something that Goosehead taught you?
For sure. Goosehead, they build off of the model of referral partners. You create new home closings, realtors and lenders, you build that network and you grow. I think the one thing I did differently was you see a lot of people start and like, I'm not going to call that lender if they even closed 40 loans last year or whatever it is. And they try to go after all of these top dogs. But to me, I want to go after everyone. I built my business off of realtors who are selling a house every other month. Because a top producer probably doesn't have time to take a lunch with someone who's making a cold call. Someone who is doing a deal every other month is hungry to build their network and also might be doing 50 deals next year. You never know. And it's what you talked about, seeing the future value. So I think being able to get in with these producers who weren't necessarily at the top and just creating a volume of working with more people instead of a few big producers is what allowed me to get my name out there. And then eventually, you go back to your brokerage and you just had a lunch with Noah. Hey, Noah just took me out to lunch, even though I'm not closing that much. He was really engaged, interested in how he could help my business. If you need anyone for insurance, he'll get you taken care of. So I think connecting with those producers, they introduced me to some of the biggest people in the space, which is what's, responsible for my network right now.
That's awesome. Yeah, I really resonate with that. When I started Solar R&R, um, I don't know, it was hard to get in with those bigger roofing companies and realtors. Um, I really had to start small, build that reputation, and then people talk. So when you do a really good job and people can tell you care about what you do and you know what you're talking about, um, your name just kind of gets out there and they're like, who is this Noah Taxman guy? Who's Solar R&R? Um, and then they eventually really want to start working with you, but you can't just reach for that, top top 50 producing agent in Denver right away. You kind of have to work your way up there. And then now you're at a place where I'm sure you work with a lot of top producers.
Yeah, absolutely. And it didn't happen overnight. It was just the opportunity of being surrounded by so many people of every scale where, you start attracting the right attention and you get the at bat with someone who their uh, usual insurance person might have dropped the ball. You do well, and now someone who's writing 15 loans a month is introducing you on every email when they have an under contract. And it kind of happens, but it's the consistency that leads to that.
Yeah. So you started with Goosehead in September of 2023.
Yep.
How long did it take you to become a recognizable name in Goosehead?
In a recognizable name, maybe, 3 months. In my third month, I hit 20K, which was a very big feat, something that
Yeah.
agents haven't done in their whole career, which is really exciting. But in terms of just getting my name right off the door, was it my second week. My second week, they had a referral partner incentive. You basically have to unlock a referral partner, which means get a realtor or lender to send you a lead. That means they're unlocked. So my second week, I'd unlocked like 14 referral partners, which would be good to do in 3 or 4 months.
Wow.
And I realized if I could get these realtors and lenders to let me quote them out on their business, that counted as an unlock. So I was like, hey, my name's Noah. I would love to assist in being your insurance person moving forward, but I'm not going to ask you to refer me if you haven't seen my process already. Do you think I could quote you out on your personal business? And most people bid on that and they were excited about that. So my second week, I got a shout out in a company-wide email. Noah Taxman has unlocked 14 referral partners, and the buzz just started. The excitement of people like what I'm doing. They appreciate the hustle, the effort. And I was hooked.
That's cool. So it sounds like you kind of created your own process. Like you took what the foundational things Goosehead gave you, and then you went and made it your own and kind of created a tried and true process. And I'm sure it's what you train your reps now to do.
Without a doubt. I mean, the average insurance agent is 41 years old, I think. So I think coming into this model at Goosehead that so clearly worked and still does work, but adding social media, adding AI to write mass emails and make them personalized, and taking the same, broad concept of going after realtors and lenders, but using today's technology and social media to go after them, it it was game changing. And it has proven to work pretty well. And now that's what I want exactly my agents to start doing and use to build their networks.
That's awesome. And so going from month 3 to the beginning of starting your own agency, I guess what really separated you from everybody else that, I don't know, just the normal agent doing kind of what everybody else is doing?
I don't think I'm better at sales than anyone else. I don't think I'm better at marketing. I do believe I work harder than just about anyone else. And that's the one thing I'll take pride in. I don't really care about being outperformed. I care about being outworked. And if there's ever been an opportunity in the last 2 years to go support a referral partner, to answer a client's call, whatever it may be, I've taken that opportunity to do it. And I think just my desire to go get it is what has helped push me to be where I'm at.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think back to a conversation we had when you had just crossed 100K in revenue for the Taxman agency. And I remember asking you, I'm like, Noah, congrats, dude. It's so amazing. You hit 100K. And we're hanging out and we were at a sushi place
Yep.
and drinking sake. And, and I had asked you, what time are you going to be in the office tomorrow? Like, are you going to take the day off? And I remember what you told me. You said, no, I'm going to be in the office at 5 a.m. tomorrow. Uh, and I just think that's so cool because a lot of people get success, especially in sales. And I think this is the problem with a lot of people on commission is they can make a bunch of money, but then they tone it back because they're like, oh, I made 20K this month, so I'm going to go take a vacation or I'm going to do whatever. And I think what really separates the normal salesperson from what you said, the top producer, is they don't step their foot off the gas. You get the success and you keep that foot on the gas and then it just keeps going. And I think I've very much seen that with you. Where do you think that mentality comes from?
Such a big variety of things. I'm really easily inspired. I'm the person who sees an Instagram clip and like, all right, I'm gonna get out of bed. Let's go, or whatever it may be. But I think I've seen so many people mess up in life, and so many people say, I wish I did this. I wish I tried harder. And I just don't want to look back and have that. So I think seeing a lot of examples of where I don't want to be and what I don't want to happen has motivated me to continue to push harder. Because some of the biggest falls come after the biggest success. All right, I did this. Now I can stop. Now I'm satisfied. And I'm never satisfied. I'm always grateful and excited about it, but I want more. And I know that I'm capable of more. And I think I'm just really on this mission right now to find out what I'm truly capable of.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've noticed that with myself. I am constantly in this struggle of gratitude and wanting more. Like sometimes I just really want to push my business and I want to grow it as quick as possible. But then I'll tone myself back and I'll be like, no, well, I should just be grateful. I've built a pretty incredible business in a short period of time. But I think you can kind of be in that middle ground to where you can really want more while also being grateful for where you're at. And I think that's a really good place to be. That place where, hey, I'm I'm lucky. I've really created this thing and I have this amazing business while also being like, hey, I want to take this to the moon. And it seems like that's really where you're at.
Absolutely. And I reposted this clip from The Office, and I love it. It's about knowing when you're in the good times and how you always wish you could know when you're in the good times. And right now, I really feel like I'm in the good times. I'm waking up. I'm hungry. I'm excited. I'm going to tell people, I was 24. I was wearing a suit and tie to work today, and we had a young office. We are all wearing suit and ties, and we loved it. But we're in, our office. You've been there. It's solid. It's not the
Yeah,
most beautiful office, though. And I make it a point to enjoy it every day. How cool it is, what we're doing, and I know it's going to continue to grow and get more exciting. But the foundation is the best part. The start of the startup is what I'm most hooked on. And every day I make it a point to smile and be grateful for all there is to it.
that's awesome. No. Yeah. You said something earlier where y- it, I think there's this healthy fear of failure. And I think about it a lot with my business. You know, I think of it as like, what's the alternative? Either you work really hard and you work from sun up to sundown, and it's hard, it's taxing on, you know, your mind, your personal relationship sometimes. But I always think of it as like, what's the alternative? The alternative is I go work a 9 to 5 and maybe I'm not happy with what I do and I won't be able to take a vacation when I want and I really can't grow something. And it sounds like you really have a kind of that healthy fear of failure as well.
For sure. And every opportunity I have to have less on my plate, I feel like I put more on my plate. Let's hire another person. Let's do this. Let's whatever it may be. And I think I need that pressure, because I'm a big believer that pressure is a privilege. And, for someone to expect us to do well and create another big goal, I love that. We have earned that. But at the same time, it's all right, here we go again. We gotta get after it today. We gotta hustle. We gotta
Yeah.
be in the office late. So there is that fine line,
Yeah.
and I'm always trying to kind of push it and find where it is.
I love that. Pressure is a privilege. Who said that? Do you know?
I heard it or read it somewhere, and I can't get it out of my head.
Yeah.
Pressure is a privilege. For someone to expect you to be great, is it scary? Is it a lot? Absolutely, but that's something that's earned.
Yeah. Yeah. Every year I write down goals. I'm big on goal setting. And so I'll write down goals in every aspect. So I'll have, goals for relationships, goals for my marriage. I'll have goals for personal finances, goals for my business. But then I always have kind of like, what's the overarching goal for the year? And in 2023, when I started Solar R&R, my overarching goal for the year was getting comfortable in the uncomfortable. And I think that that's kind of similar as like pressure is a privilege.
For sure.
You're not going to experience growth without the pressure. You're not going to experience growth without being uncomfortable. Um, I think complacency, crushes a lot of people.
Yeah, without a doubt, it could always be better. There could always be something that you appreciate, um, and y complacency is such a big problem. I think so many people focus on what's not right, opposed to making those things better or focusing on the things that already are working, that it just distracts them from making any forward progress.
Yeah. Yeah. So you've now started an agency, and remind me, when did you start your agency?
November 1st, 2024, so it's
Awesome.
next week will be a year.
That's awesome. And you have 5 active agents, 5 going to start. Um, what kind of makes the Taxman agency different than working with other agencies? What do you think really kind of separates you, and why should they come work with you than the other person running an agency?
Yeah, I think it's our hustle. I mean, our effort is so there, and that comes from a place of care. It's really not chasing the dollar. We are chasing the the service. Work so hard for that client review. That person on Facebook who says, Noah just saved me $4,000 on my home and auto insurance. That's the excitement and the part that we love. So I think we're in it for the right reasons, and we're more in it than anyone else. Anthony is definitely on his computer saving people money on their auto insurance right now. I
Yeah.
know it. And that to me is just so exciting that it's not a job. It's something that we're excited to do.
That's awesome. I read something once where you would think the number one reason somebody would stay with a company or leave a company would be money. And I don't even think it breaks the top 5. I I know what really keeps people around with a company is the culture. And I think if you can create a really good culture within a business, then retention is much higher, but just quality of life for people is much higher. And it sounds like you've created a really strong culture within the Taxman agency, not just the hustle, because obviously you guys hustle, but it seems like you guys have a good time. People want to show up to work early, they want to leave late. Um, Maybe not so much for the money, but just the culture you've created.
For sure. Within our agency, we have this special culture, but now within Goosehead and within just Denver, we have created a name and an excitement for ourselves. People have texted me, "Hey, I started wearing suits to work." People have told me that they post reach out for a quote today. A lot of other insurance agents do it, and I love that they do that. Or other people will just post something about their business that's the same every single day. Well, what we're doing is working, and if you look at it from the outside, it could look corny. It could be like, all right, reach out for a quote today. Here we go, same thing. Just save this person money. Here's my referral partner. But we're so genuine about it. We really do love it. And I think that's what has made people buy in. And in a space in sales that, people are always competitive. And I feel like a lot of people are preying on the downfall of a top agent or a top agency, whatever it may be. And that just hasn't been us. Are there some people who may not want to see us do well? Sure, and that's whatever. But there's so many people who are excited when we break a goal, and people who are proud of our hard work, and that is so special. Because we're not bragging, we're not boasting by any means. We're proud of our hard work, and to see other people want to work harder because of how deep our buy-in is, it's a special thing.
I think that's awesome. You're one of the most humble people I know. I think a lot of people you probably work with don't even understand how much success you've had within the agency. And I would have never known if I hadn't asked you, because it's not something you widely talk about. But I think it is cool. I think it's very inspiring. Tell me about posting the same thing every day. That's something that I see you do Monday through Sunday.
For
It's always reach out for a quote today. What's the thought process
Yeah,
behind
reach
that?
out for a quote today. It's handshake, briefcase, green check mark. Same exact thing. Like you could tell what time I woke up in the morning because that's the first thing I do when I wake up. And to me, we're selling something that everyone is legally required to have. You have a home, auto, or you rent an apartment, you have to have our product. You need insurance. And I just want to be in the forefront of people's minds. And I remember at the beginning when I started doing it, my high school friends or people I knew from college were like, all right, why is he posting this every day? It was laughed at a bit. And I just kept doing it because I wanted to be imprinted in people's minds. When they thought insurance, they reached out. And after, about 6 months at Goosehead, I was the top agent in the company. And then other people like, maybe I should post reach out for a quote today. That might work. And it turned into something that, was laughed at to be, that works. It's cool. And people respected the hustle. So I think just having that constant reminder has grown my business. And to this day, people swipe up to that and say, hey, my auto just jumped up. Do you mind taking a look? Absolutely. I'd love to take a look.
Yeah. I think that's cool. I think about this often too, but oftentimes I feel like what's holding people back is the fear of what other people will think of them. And for me, I have to constantly remind myself, one, I shouldn't care about anybody's opinion because they're not paying my bills, and truly their opinion doesn't matter. Um, and I think that holds a lot of people back, especially with social media, because social media is so powerful. But the reason why people don't want to put a camera up in front of their face or just do things like this, like a podcast, is because they fear, what are other people going to think about me? And in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter.
For sure.
And like you said, eventually it turns it from a negative to a positive. At first, they were kind of judging you. And why is he posting this every day? It's kind of corny. It's kind of cheesy. And then you turned it from that to, oh, I need to start doing that.
Yep.
What he's doing is clearly working for him. So I think it's really cool that you changed that from a positive to a negative.
Thank you. And I think the importance of self-talk is so huge. When I make a new post, I made one the other day of, coverage versus cost. And, if someone's reading that and or watch that, doesn't want it in their feed, is annoyed by it, whatever, at the end of the day, that might have been a deterrent a while ago for me to not post it or not do it. And then like I step back and I really think about it. I have that self-talk of, someone doesn't want to be my friend because I'm making an Instagram post to support my business and to educate people on the importance of having proper coverage. Like, is that someone I really care about? Or is that someone I really want to be around? The answer is no. If someone is proud that I'm supporting my business, whether they care about insurance or not, they just love that I'm grinding. That's the kind of person I want in my life. So I feel like even if the posting does cut people out, you're not cutting out people who are really adding value and have genuine care for you.
Do you feel like you've lost some friendships since starting a business?
I don't want to say I've lost friendships. I feel like I've definitely had relationships that I just don't have the time to give the attention to, which hurts. And I always love to call my friends and keep up, but I can't go out every Friday, Saturday night, let alone Thursday night as well. So I just don't have the same time to see all the people I used to see. But those relationships, if they're real ones, they still hold true. And every time I see them, it's like no time has passed.
Yeah, I've noticed that a lot with me too, because I got married last year, and so that takes a lot of my time. But then started a business, and I'm growing a business, and I just don't have time to spend with a lot of my friends. And I think some of my relationships have kind of fizzled out a little bit, but those true friends, those lifelong friends, it doesn't matter if I don't see them for 6 months. Um, I know that those friendships will always be there. And the cool thing about what you do and what I do as well is I've created a lot of relationships with what I do. A lot of people that I'm close with now are through business, and I do stuff with them outside of business. So it sounds like you've really created that as well.
For sure. We're in a space where you could find a realtor or lender who wants to do anything. If you're a poker player, if you like to go to the movies, ski, if you want to find someone who likes to go watch ballet, I'm sure you could find a realtor or lender who's into that. So I think having the versatility of the referral partners we have, you could essentially make anything productive.
For sure. For sure. So you told me this, and I thought this was really cool and something I've never heard of, but you hire an agent, and upon hiring an agent, they obviously have to get licensed. I'm sure you help out with that process as well. But then you fly them out to headquarters for Goosehead. Is that normal? Is that something that people normally do?
So every agent who joins Goosehead does a week of remote training and the week of in-person training at headquarters. I think the thing I do differently is every agent who goes to HQ, I fly out with them and I spend that time, one-on-one with that agent and make sure that, they have my support in their corner.
That's awesome. And what's the thought process behind that?
The thought process to that is I want to make my buy-in on them and their success so clear from the start. From 5 in the morning to about 9 o'clock at night, my phone is ringing. And when I have a new agent, I'm not necessarily able to hold their hand the entire day. There's so many things going on, and we have the structure and the training, set up to make sure that they're accounted for and have everything they need. But in terms of like the one-on-one time I get with them, it's not really there.
Mm.
And this week in Texas is really where I get to do that. And I feel like our agents, they know how busy I am. And I want them to know it's a priority for me to go to Texas with them. There's probably 40 to 50 agents in every training class from around the country. There's no other agency owner that goes and flies out with their agent because I want them to feel that buy-in from me right away. Lucas is our newest agent who I just brought out, and he's a great guy. He's amazing. He actually finished at the top of his training class,
Wow.
which is awesome. But I felt like I really didn't get that time to know Lucas outside of the office in the first few weeks. And I knew him, what he was like in the office and meeting each other in those interactions, but catching a flight together, hanging in the rental car every day on the way to and from work. We actually met with his family for dinner one night because they live in Texas. And I wouldn't trade those experiences for the world. Would I maybe sold more policies if I was in my home setup? Absolutely. But having that time to get to know that agent and really make them feel at home in our business is worth the world.
That's awesome. I listened to a podcast the other day by Gary Vee, and he was talking about how one of the biggest investments you can make into your business, or potentially the biggest investment you can make into your business, is in your employees. I think as a business owner, it's easy to spend more time with clients than it is your employees. But if you really take the time to pump into your employees and just the people that work with you and for you, the business will grow exponentially quicker. Again, like you said, it's a little bit of an immediate sacrifice because for you, yeah, you could have sold more policies, not flying out to Dallas and spending that time with Lucas. But that investment you made into him, I think will exponentially increase his success.
Without a doubt, it's human capital is what it is at the end of the day. Just being able to show people that you care about them. And I want people to work hard because they want to do it for themselves. They're excited. But it's always more fun to play for a team that you want to be on. And you're always more successful when you play for a team that you want to be on. So I couldn't agree with you more. Just showing that buy-in to people from the jump and, carrying out that culture, it just sets the standard of how you care about your people.
That's awesome. So, if it's me and I want to start selling insurance, I want to go work for the Taxman agency. How do you hire? What do you look for in these agents that you hire? Have you had any adversity with hiring people so far?
Adversity, not really, just because we've been so fortunate to meet such amazing people so far that it's been amazing. And we're very grateful and fortunate that we've been sought after. People are messaging us frequently on LinkedIn, Instagram, calling us saying, hey, are there opportunities available? I want to work here. My brother, sister, girlfriend, boyfriend wants to work here, whatever it is, where we've had great success in that route. Now, in terms of what we're looking for, you have to be hungry and you have to be coachable. That's it. If you are hungry and coachable, you could kill it at this job. And I think just having social skills and the social battery to meet with people and go to events is crucial. I think in the first 90 seconds of an interview, I know if it's going to be a fit or not. I don't really care where you went to college or what your experience was. If you were in sales or have that, that's great, sure. But if you're able to hold a conversation and I believe that you're willing to try hard, that's like the only two things I'm looking for.
That's awesome. I think you can teach a lot of stuff. You can teach somebody how to sell insurance. You can teach them all this stuff about the different types of policies and different types of coverages people can get. But you can't give somebody that grit. You know, that's just not something that you, as the owner of a company, can give to somebody else. That's something that they have to want for themselves. Um, and I think they really have to have a why for that. Um, what would you say your why is?
My why is to offer the opportunity that the insurance space has offered to me for as many people as possible. And to really specify it to a goal, I want to create 1,000 millionaires.
Wow.
Because instead of being a billionaire and having that number, and maybe that will happen, but that's not the goal. The goal is to create a platform for 1,000 people to become a millionaire and to be able to send their kids to the school that they want to go to, eat where they want to eat, do what they want to do. And I think insurance is the best vessel to make that happen.
I think that's so cool. I think about that a lot with my business, and some of my proudest moments and what I've created with my business haven't really been about me. I think it's great, and I was able to go buy a nicer truck and take a nice vacation for our honeymoon. Um, but that stuff doesn't really last. It's a feeling for a short period of time. But the best feelings I've had within my business have been, hey, I've been able to create more abundance for people that work for me. I've been able to create a company culture that people really like to come work for. I've been able to create a business where I don't have to micromanage people because they just want to show up and they want to work hard because they believe in the same vision that I do. Um, I think that's an amazing goal. And I can tell that you're very passionate about just helping other people. And that not only helps you with your customer base, but also the people that work for you.
For sure. I mean, because getting someone to care not only about your goal, but make turn that into their goal and their mission. Get someone who is on the phone with you. I have to go. That's my client. They just got in an accident. They need me to send them their ID cards. Like, I love that. I don't love that someone got in an accident, but I love that someone's that hungry to assist, their client and take care of their people. Because I'm a big believer in servant leadership. And to be a leader, I want to give you everything you need to succeed. As a servant leader, my job, I work for you. All of my employees, and I don't even have employees. I have teammates because we work together. I want to give them everything they need to be successful. And that just level of support is how I was coached. And that's how I, grew to be a better agent. It just makes people respond so much stronger and healthier than saying, do this, do that. That's how it's going to work. When you give people the tools that they need and that they're asking for, it's going to create the strongest workforce.
Mm. So you talk about servant leadership, and I want to pick your brain on this because one of the biggest faults I see maybe with young entrepreneurship is humility. And you get success, a lot of success at 24 years old. Is servant leadership something that's just kind of ingrained in you, how your parents raised you, maybe? Or is that something you feel like you sometimes have to work towards? Because I know myself, um, I have to humble myself from time to time. And I'm curious to ask you if that's something that you struggle with.
Yeah, I think Goosehead servant leadership is one of their pillars. So that's something I learned right away. And when I was told that the person interviewing me is going to work for me to help me succeed was electric. It was contagious. I was very excited about that. So I kept that mindset. And I think going through things, I was always happier when I did things for other people, even on the small scale. After a big commission check, if I went shopping, it never felt as good as Anthony, when he hit 15K for the first time, writing him a commission check after he did that was the coolest thing in the world. Seeing him earn in a platform that we had built together was way cooler than anything I'd brought home by myself.
That's awesome. I love that. I love that you've created that culture and you just really, really care about the success of other individuals, truthfully more than yourself. And I know that that's going to take the Taxman agency further than of you just focusing on you. I know you've told me before too, you don't even care about how many policies you write. And I know you write a lot of policies still, but you'd rather see the success of Anthony and Grant and the other people in your office than see it in your own self.
For sure. I want to create the platform. And who holds the crown or does that, it just doesn't matter. It's the fact that we are creating this mission. And that's why we don't really set these personal goals. Do we want to hit these next metrics and do that? Of course. But the 100K, we went to the Broadmoor. Like that was so special being able to take a trip like that. But the real excitement was in the team accomplished this together. Not one person had a great month of production.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So we've talked a lot about the success and the growth. Has there been any struggles with your entrepreneurship journey?
For sure. Um, I don't want to say I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm figuring it out every single day. And I think I'm so hungry to have the right answer all the time. So it creates a lot of frustration. You know, the first time we paid quarterly taxes in September, I was not prepared for that. You know, in a commission space, it hit me like a train. And just having experienced so many things for the first time has been really humbling. You know, I had an attorney help me draft up all of our non-competes, our employment agreements, our employee handbook, make sure everyone has what they need, make sure our people who are working there are protected and have, you know, standards of things that they need, and it's put in a paper form. And I got that bill, and you know, knocked me out of my chair. So I think going through a lot of things for the first time has been really tough. As much as I've loved it, I am very good at selling insurance and building a network, and all of the things that come with business ownership, creating content, doing all of these things. There's so many hats you have to wear, where it's been a struggle for sure, but we've pushed through. We've made it work at every point.
Yeah. I think that's the best and the worst part of business ownership is the fact that you have to figure it all out. But like you said, pressure is a privilege. And I think about it a lot with myself. Like I could have just kept doing sales because I was good at it and I made good money. And it was kind of hard to walk away from that. But I also get to be challenged every single day and actually get to see something grow. And that's been a big privilege of mine. I also, to speak on another thing you were talking about, is I think a lot of people think they have to have it all figured out to start a business. I think that's the biggest misconception because it's not possible. You're definitely not going to have to figure everything out, or you're not going to be able to figure everything out. It's kind of one of those things where you start something and you kind of have to figure it out as you go. And I don't believe in the term fake it till you make it, but you really just have to show up every day. And I like to call it bob and weave.
Okay.
You know, with my business, I'm always kind of bobbing and weaving.
For
I
sure.
make a mistake, I correct it, and then I learn from that mistake. And so it sounds like you've done that a lot with your business. It's just really created something, but you're learning as you go.
For sure. I mean, I've borderline gotten too comfortable with leaping before I look. And if there's an idea, let's do it. Let's go. Let's try it. Anytime we get a chance to be a part of something, donate, sponsor, whatever it may be, yeah, let's do it. Do we have enough money? Well, we'll sell more insurance. We'll figure it out. You know, and that's kind of the place we're in right now, which is such an exhilarating, exciting part of our journey right now. But as well, it's scary because on the 15th and the 30th of the month, there needs to be enough money in the bank for payroll. Doesn't matter what happens. I could be sick. I could be this, that. There needs to be enough money to run payroll. And I think that pressure is exciting. And it comes back to pressure being a privilege. That gets me up in the morning.
Mm.
And that excitement and drive, if I was just playing for myself, I wouldn't have the same motivation.
Was that a big shift for you, going from just focusing on personal production to wanting to start a team and lead a team? Was that hard for you to transition into that?
For sure. And I think the hardest thing is the way you learn, the way I learn, and the way the next person learns are very different. And being able to figure out how to coach each person has just been a really cool learning experience. And I feel like I'm learning more of it every day. So that transition has been something that I'm just constantly working on.
I love that. What do you say to the person that says you need to have more work-life balance?
That's not for me.
Yeah.
That it's not. At the end of the day, I love my life, and I'm so grateful for that. And when we talked about money being past number 5 on the list of why you're happy with where you work, I don't want to go anywhere because I'm so happy with where I'm at. And I think that being at the top of the list is huge. There's so many people who are rich and aren't happy. And right now, when I wake up, I'm excited to save people money on their home and auto insurance. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah.
And if someone, thinks there should be more balance, that's that's for them, It's not
Yeah.
for me.
I think that's a great mentality to have, especially, when because you're single, right?
Yeah, I am.
And you're 24 years old. I think there's really a time in your life to just really grind. Obviously, when you settle down and you have a family and stuff, there has to be, time for that. And that's something that I've struggled with as an entrepreneur. That would created a lot of conflict between my wife and I when we first started dating was I can work from sun up till sundown. And sometimes I had a hard time disconnecting from that. And I wish that when I was 21, 22 years old, I worked more like that, but I didn't. And so now I'm at a place to where I struggle a little bit with that work-life balance because having a family, I need to have more work-life balance. But for you, and I think there's just really a time in your life that you can really focus on just the grind, building something. And so a little bit later in your life, you'll have more time for the things that you want to have time for.
For sure. And the amount of people that I have heard say to me, I'm married, I have kids, like this is what you should be doing. Like this is the time to do this because when you have kids to put down, you're not going to be able to, wake up and get to the office at 5 in the morning. It's not realistic. So I just want to take advantage of this time. And, the second it doesn't feel good to go this hard, I don't think I would go this hard. I would restructure the business of how to do this and how to delegate more tasks and, spread it more amongst the team in terms of my responsibilities. But that's just not where I'm at. I'm so bought in to bringing this energy every day and knowing that my passion and buy-in excites more people to bring that hunger every day. It's addicting.
I love that. And so to me, it just seems like your definition of success is being able to help the people around you. Would you say that's your definition of success?
For sure. My definition of success is being able to help the people around you. And success is to be able to eat wherever you want, wherever you want. Big food guy. And I think the idea of being able to have a meal and order what you want when you want is a special thing and a luxury not that many people have.
Chicago food or Denver food?
Chicago food, but I think Denver gets too much hate for their food. I think there is a fantastic food scene here that needs a little bit more love.
Yeah. what what would you say your favorite restaurant is in Denver?
So it was Tavernetta for a while.
Italian. That's Italian food,
Yep.
right? Okay.
And then now it's Le Colonial,
Okay.
I think, in Cherry Creek. It's a
Okay.
Vietnamese restaurant, and it's fantastic.
Is it like high-end Vietnamese or is it a little homey kind of like hole in the wall spot
It is
or mixture?
it is definitely high level.
Okay.
The plating is beautiful, the walls are gorgeous, and the food is fantastic. The other restaurant I have been to recently that's been fantastic is Go Fish. I don't know if you've
Okay.
heard about it.
Uh-uh.
Oh, it's fantastic. It's just a really fun environment. They're open late too, and I think a big struggle coming from Chicago with the food scene. Nothing's open late around here. And Go Fish not only serves food late, they serve sushi late.
Nice.
Open until about like 2 a.m.
Oh, cool.
Highly recommend going there.
Cool. you ever been to Alma Fondafina?
No, where's that?
It's just right over here in Lohi. One of the best restaurants I've ever been to in my life.
Okay.
Really cool place. Super hard to get a reservation at though. So make sure you plan ahead.
All right, definitely.
Go. So where do you see yourself in the agency in the next couple of years, or let's say 5 years?
I think in many states. I want to replicate this process in as many offices as possible. We're opening up Colorado Springs soon, which we're really excited about. And to me, the opportunity there is ample, and there's going to be, so many more referral partners that we're not currently exposed to that we're going to be able to do over there. But additionally, it's a test to us to be able to replicate this in a location that we can drive to, not fly to. Because the next place is we want to go to Minnesota and we want to be able to continue to open up in new locations. But it's a very daunting idea to have a location that is a flight away opposed to a car ride away.
Mhm.
I think once we can, master this or at least get comfortable with having a new office that we're not in every day, we want to keep opening offices and creating this opportunity for more and more people, filling those out with managers and really just expanding our name, our brand, and getting people the best rates possible.
That's awesome. Does that scare you?
No, it really excites me. I'm so sure of our ability to do this that it can't come soon enough. I think our almost luck of finding the right people. I thought it was luck, but now I think we are just drawing the right attention and are drawing the right people. We're going to continue to find people that we trust to help us expand. And it's a matter of time that, we continue this mission.
Yeah. Well, I have no doubt you'll get there.
Thank you.
Um, really, just to kind of close this conversation out, what is some advice to somebody getting started in sales, or maybe somebody that wants to start a business? What is a piece of advice that you would give that person? Take your time.
Yeah, I got to think on that one. I'd say be religious about your routine. Whatever that is, if that's making your bed every day, if that is going to the gym, if that is, only eating junk food 2 days a week, whatever it is, be religious about your routine because I think it is so important just to have some simple standards that you do every day. They don't have to be work related. Sure, it could be clearing your email inbox before you leave the office every day, but something as little as, I'm going to make my bed before I leave my bedroom every morning can change your life. And finding those little things that you could commit to and show discipline will help you excel in every category of your life.
I love that. I posted something on my Instagram story not too long ago, but um, it was essentially contradicting what a lot of people say, which is you are the combination of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And I believe you are and you will become what your habits are. If your habits are kind of slacking off and you don't wake up early or whatever it is, I don't think you need to wake up early. You you just can't achieve the things you want to achieve.
For
But
sure.
if your habits are dialed in for a consistent period of time, I think eventually you'll achieve the goals that you want to achieve.
I completely agree. If you can't do something as simple as make your bed every day, how are you going to sell 1,000 policies? How are you going to install solar panels on all of these homes?
Yeah.
Whatever it may be, you have to commit to it.
And real quick, what are the habits that Noah Taxman has that makes him different than some other people out there?
I'd say my two biggest ones are making my bed every morning and saying thank you. Whatever it is, it's so important to me to say thank you. There's so many people who just lack to do that on big and small things. And you might be making someone's day when you thank them for the coffee, the water, hosting me on this podcast. Thank you. Whatever it may be, just showing gratitude.
That's awesome, Noah. Well, you've got a phenomenal mentality. I'm so excited to just see where your personal growth takes you. I mean, you've got so many years ahead of you, and I'm excited to see where you take your agency. I'm excited to see the first millionaire you create and then the next 999. Um, I think it's awesome, man. You're somebody that I can learn a lot from, and I've got a couple years on you, and something that somebody in their 40s could learn a lot from. And I just know you're going to continue to grow. Um, so it's been an honor to have you on the podcast, Noah.
Thank you. It's been an honor to be here, and I look up to you a lot. And you have been a source of advice, ideas, thoughts. So I value your opinion and I respect you a lot. So thank you for having me.
Yeah,
This is a treat.
awesome, Noah. Cool.